Hello.
Hi, Kate. Sorry that took me a second to set up.
That's okay. How are you, Colin?
Good, I'm fine.
Excellent. I'm glad that you could join me today. You were telling me about a series of books that you had started writing, and I just was so thrilled with the story and everything that you were saying. So, if you wouldn't mind, would you introduce yourself and what it is that you've been creating?
Sure, absolutely. I'd be happy to. So I'm Colin Lindsey. I started writing young adult fiction a couple years ago. My first series was sort of more in the epic genre, and I wrote that because my daughter demanded it. Uh, I started writing for her. She arrived at a stage where she was reading the same books that I was interested in, finally. And I thought it would be a great opportunity to, maybe get her into writing by suggesting we write a book together. She thought
Yeah,
that was fabulous. So I took
that
the
doesn't
first
come across all the time to have an offer like that.
I took the first stab, wrote a chapter, flipped it past her and said, "Okay, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think?" And she says, "That's fabulous, but I can't write that well." So she never
Oh
did.
my gosh.
So
Best
I had to
efforts.
kind of like carry on and like finish it. So which I
Mhm.
did. But she had very strict rules. She's like, "Okay, there has to be a couple and they have to stay together in the end." And so she's like,
That's
"You can write whatever
excellent.
you want, but that has to happen." So I
Oh,
sort
she's
of
got the romantic.
exactly. So I enjoyed that series, and of course I felt it had to be a series because my theory is that if you write something that people get emotionally invested in,
Yeah.
then you sort of owe them more than one book, right? Because I know I feel that way. I read something I really like, and I can't wait for the next. And
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
actually wrote the whole series before I published it, just to make sure it was good. So so
That's
that was
fantastic. What a great approach.
So then I started my second series, sort of like untethered by the demands of my daughter. And I like, okay, I'm just going to write whatever I feel like.
So how is
And
this one different then?
it was the second one was quite different. It were quite interesting. I did something a little bit more dystopian. And I wanted to move away from sort of that classic boy girl love story.
Okay.
And so in the current series that I'm writing, the characters are a lot more, I want to say pansexual, but that's sort of an overused term. It's more that people love people. And it's not as
Okay.
clearly defined as like, well, this person likes this person, or they have a preference or a type. It's much more fluid, and it feels very organic. And so that's sort of a quite a different story. And it was
Nice.
interesting because when I wrote it, I was worried that people might not be like ready for that. I
I was
mean, I
gonna
think
ask, how was it received? What was the feedback you
well, the
got?
reviews are quite good on the first two books. I'm kind of wrapping up the third book right now, which is
Okay.
stressful, trying to get it
Well,
all.
congratulations. You're at this point. That's amazing.
Thanks. And so far, it's been very positive. But like I remember having a friend of mine's very, very elderly mother, my friend saying, "Oh, I bought a copy for my elderly mother," and I
Mhm.
thought to myself, like, "Ooh, like this could be a tad risque for
Yeah.
her." Like, I mean, she's like, very church going, and I thought, "Oh
Yeah.
no, this is going to be a very awkward barbecue the next time I wind up seeing them."
Right. And
But
how did it go?
well, so far I haven't heard it. I haven't like gone up to her. Well, because of COVID, I haven't had the
Right,
chance.
right.
But I haven't kind of like cornered her yet and said, "So, what do you think?" I'm a bit terrified, to be honest with you.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm sure it is well received as the rest of your books have been so far. So it really speaks something to the universality of it that it was passed on to another generation, both
Yeah.
above and below you. So that really speaks about how you write to the heart of something.
I was thinking about that the other day where I was thinking about I chose young adult primarily starting because I wanted to reach my daughter. I wanted to give her
Mhm.
inspiring characters. Sort of a very, like strong female protagonists, which again, so far is becoming so cliche these days that you almost can't even say that. But what I found important is I wanted to give her nuanced characters, characters that were vulnerable and screwed up, and they weren't just like, could do no wrong. And because I think that's life. But I
Mhm.
was thinking about it because the thing is, like, young adult is read by everybody. It's not really just read by teens. And I was
True.
trying to figure out why, and it occurred to me that like young adult really only means that the protagonists are in their teens. That's all it means, a fair game. But I think that the reason I like writing at that age is that the characters are discovering themselves. The stakes are emotionally high. It's all about like sort of like empowerment and finding yourself, and including sexual empowerment. And I think we all resonate with that. We all want that in our lives. We want ourselves to matter. We want we want our feelings to be raw, not just like muted, as we
Yes,
often like older in life kind of like let ourselves get into that kind of an emotional rut.
absolutely.
So I think it's all about that, like having people like writing in a way that makes people feel, because that's what we all
Mhm.
want to do. We want to feel strongly. So
Right. Yes, a passion in one way or another, some direction, a passion to an extreme, and I think that really says something, about, um, well, the way we are as humans, we really want to have something to invest in, something to feel about. So, yeah, you do a great job at that for sure.
well, thank you. So
Yeah. So, what is on the horizon? If you're wrapping up this third book, what is coming for you next?
well, that's always a bit stressful because I got myself into this habit where at the end of every book, I like to have a teaser for the next book, which
Hmm.
means I can't finish this one without a sense of what the next one's going to look like. And that's again, I have to already know that. So I have three series that are really slugging themselves out in my brain for which one I want to tackle next. And I think I'm leaning towards something that's sort of a love story with a science fiction backdrop, which again always sounds super cheesy to say until I put more thought into it. But I'm
Yeah,
very excited because I always kind of grew up with science fiction as a genre. And there's not enough of that out there that's really written targeted towards women as an audience.
you're right.
Which is weird. I mean, there's lots of like the whole epic genres, done very well. But I would say that's a domain that hasn't been well investigated. So
I
I'm
agree with
hoping
you.
for sure.
That's more of a science and the specialties rather than the romance languages and. So to have science fiction and to have strong females, that's really I love it. That's outstanding. The different places that we see them, the more able you are to imagine yourself doing any of those things, right?
Exactly. And
But
I
you
think that's what
almost
it's
have to
all
see
about.
it first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So that's outstanding. You're definitely helping a lot of people with their internal struggles and how they're forming their decisions. And I remember when I was younger, I was very much into reading all of the stories I could when I was struggling with something personally, because I could hear through the story how they were thinking about this situation. And it already has a resolve at the end, so let's work through this with them and then maybe I can work through it myself. So I think what you do is really amazing for teens.
well, thank you, Kate.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate your time here with us. And I'm going to put this up on our Facebook page and on our website, thekinderfoundation.com. And so if you would like to share this on your social as well, that would be outstanding.
I
So
will.
excellent. I appreciate it. I'll see you again.
Okay, thank you, Kate.
All right.
All right,
Bye.
cheers.